we have a quorum?
Recording in progress.
All right, welcome. It's 1:30, so let's go ahead and call the meeting to order of the Washoe County Open Space and Regional Parks Commission.
I'm going to go ahead and do roll call.
Roll call, thank you.
For those commissioners on Zoom, could you please unmute and say here when I call your name, please? So we'll start with Kevin Joel.
Here.
Nicholas Martin Kearney. Here. Stephanie Chen. Absent. Timothy Dake. Present. Okay. Maxwell Di Natale. Absent. Doug Doolittle. Absent. Omer Rains. Absent. Lisa Rohde.
Here.
And Miles Gertler.
Hello, here on Zoom.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Thank you, sir. And I'd like to welcome Miles Gertler to the commission. I believe this is his first meeting. Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Kearney, would you lead us in the pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment today?
One moment. I would like to, for the record, say that Commissioner Mariluz Garcia is here as well.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Commissioner Garcia from the Washoe County Commission for attending our meeting. Do we have any public comment today?
There is no public comment in chambers.
Thank you.
There is one public comment on Zoom. Cliff Young, can you please unmute and state your full name for the record?
Good afternoon. My name is Clifton Young. The reason I asked for a public comment is with the changing of the guard, sometimes things are lost. I know the Park Commission split into different entities within Washoe County. I served 10 years on the Park Commission, and around the time my father passed away, I approached Jeff Patterson. I know Colleen Wallace Barnum was involved, someone named Rosie, about what it would take to get a little memorial in honor of my mother and father up on Windy Hill. And at the time, instead of just putting a little plaque on one of the benches, they said, well, all these benches are going to be replaced. And so we talked about, well, what it would cost to install new benches. And I actually was honored to pick out the benches with the shade because I thought that would be appropriate. And I think it was close to $20,000 that my family donated to install and purchase these benches. And I've had one excuse after another about how some sort of a memorial plaque would probably be vandalized. Well, my father's estate is about to be finally dispersed. And if there needs to be some additional money donated to have some sort of a plaque that could be cleaned of graffiti, now is the time that we need to do it. Because once it's all gone, it's going to be hard to tap into that again. Now, I have distributed a copy of the eulogy that Karen Mullen gave at my father's memorial service. I'll try to run through it really brief, but if the copy can be sent. You know, my dad served in Congress a couple terms just before I was born, and his first public meeting that he became involved in was the Washoe County Park Commission. In Karen Mullen's eulogy, she talked about how it was my father and Tom Cook who encouraged the Washoe County Commission in 1962 to develop and adopt the first regional park and open space commission. This plan led to the beginning of the Washoe County Department of Regional Parks and Open Space in 1964. That's when my dad started serving on the Park Commission. It also led to a bond issue in the development of facilities at Washoe in Bowers Mansion, the campground and fishing pond at Davis Creek, and then it called for trails along the Truckee River and the Steamboat Ditch. I know my dad served on that Greenbelt Committee for about 20 years, and then when he was elected to the Supreme Court, I was asked to take over his position on that committee. Karen went on to say how my father lent his name and support to so many local and statewide bond issues for parks and wildlife. It was his encouragement that helped secure a grant for the last $1 million that was needed to secure land on the Truckee River. He supported and worked quietly behind the scenes to get Rancho San Rafael Regional Park.
Mr. Young, I hate to interrupt, but your 3 minutes of public comment is up, unfortunately.
All right.
And Mr. Young, this is Chair Joel. First of all, I thank you and your father, because I am aware of some of both of your contributions to the parks and open space in this area. And can we ask staff to look into the Bartley?
It was Windy Hill.
Or I'm sorry, for Windy Hill? Do we have to put that on the agenda for a future agenda, or?
Lindsay Liddell, Deputy District Attorney, for the record. Yes, if the Parks Commission as a commission wanted to make that direction, that would need to be placed on the agenda. But as a single commissioner, Commissioner Joel, you can make that comment to staff and perhaps request that an item be put on an agenda.
Okay. So, Mr. Young, we will look into that for you.
Thank you very much. And I don't know if the complete eulogy can be distributed to the members so that they understand. You know, it's not just the benefit of the bargain, but he was known as the father of the Washoe County Parks Commission by many people. And I think it'd be appropriate to have some line memorializing his involvement.
Can you, Brandon, you have contact with him that you could email that in?
We already have the presentation in our email. We're going to go ahead and upload it to the
Distribute it
website.
to-
It'll be available.
Excellent.
there.
All right. Thank you very much. Is there any other public comment?
No further public comment in chambers or via Zoom.
Okay, next item is approval of the agenda from the Open Space and Parks Commission meeting approval of the agenda for today's meeting, March 22nd, 2023. Do I have a motion to approve today's agenda?
Yeah, this is Commissioner Dake. I make a motion that we approve this agenda.
And do I have a second?
I'll second.
This is Lisa Rhodey. I'll second.
Thank you, Lisa. Do we need to have discussion on this motion? Okay, is there any comments on this item? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The agenda for today is approved. Approval of the minutes from the last Open Space and Regional Parks Commission meeting on January 25th, 2023. I have a motion to approve those minutes.
Commissioner Kearney here. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for the Open Space and Regional Parks Commission of January 25th, 2023.
Thank you. Do we have a second on that motion?
This is Lisa Rhodey. I'll second to approve it.
Thank you. Any discussion or comments on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes are approved. Acknowledgement and recognition of park operations staff for their outstanding service and contributions to Washoe County.
Go ahead. Sorry, it's an old machine. Oh, don't press it.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I'm probably turning it off. There you go.
It's okay.
Colleen, is this, because the next item is the resolution for
Right.
Kevin Callahan, so is this a different one or?
This
the
is
same?
different.
Different,
This
okay.
is. So thank you. For the record, Colleen Wallace, Barnum Park Operations Superintendent. I have 2 employees to recognize today for 10 years of continuous service with Washoe County. The first employee I would like to have come up is Robert Holland. Come on up. So Robert Holland is our park ranger at Rancho San Rafael Park. Bob has been working for Washoe County for 10 years. When we hired Bob, I remember I was on the interview panel, and it was the first time we hired full-time staff after the economic recession. So it was a really positive thing to be able to hire them on, and just thank you so much for your years of service and everything you've done. Rancho is an incredibly dynamic park, and you've done a lot to make it even better in the 10 years you've been there. Yeah, so here's your pin, and this is, oops, this is the one for you. Okay, there you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If I may, I'd like to, I'd like to add that I have had the pleasure of working with Robert at Rancho on various projects, I think literally since he got to the park over the years, and I appreciate your efforts very much, as well as I think I can speak on behalf of the entire trail and park using community for some of the things that you guys have made happen at Rancho. So thank you.
And I should probably add that he is one of the rangers at Rancho, and not only do they manage Rancho San Rafael Park, but all of the parks in the north. So North Valleys Regional Park, Cold Springs, Westbrook Community Center, all of those parks in the north region. So they manage quite a bit on their plate. Their offices are out of Rancho, and they do spend quite a bit of time there, but you do a great job. Thank you, Bob. Okay, next employee I'd like to recognize is Jeff Patterson for 10 years of service. Come on up. All right. Jeff Patterson is our district manager. He manages all of the parks in the South region. He was also hired in 2013, same year as Bob, and we're just so thankful. But really, let me rattle off some of the parks that he manages. So we've got his office is out of Bartley Ranch. He also manages all the parks along the Truckee River, Hidden Valley, Bowers, Davis, Galena, and South Valleys Regional Park. So he oversees all of those functions with the park ranger and recreation staff, and does a wonderful job. So thank you for your service.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Jeff.
That's all I have.
That's for that item. Thank you. So the next agenda item is a resolution to acknowledge Kevin Callahan for his 19 years of service and contributions as the Washoe County Work Program Supervisor.
Right. Come on up, Kevin. And I believe if you would like to read that resolution, Chair Joel,
Okay.
that would be great.
All right, this is a resolution of appreciation and recognition of service to Kevin Callahan. Whereas Kevin Callahan served the citizens of Washoe County and the Community Services Department, Regional Parks and Open Space for 19 years. And whereas Kevin supervised work crews from Alternative Sentencing and Crossroads. And whereas Kevin managed projects in all of the north region of Washoe County parks, including all 24 parks, trailheads, and specialty facilities in the North Valleys and Spanish Springs. Whereas Kevin worked with park staff in the South region and Keep Truckee Meadows Beautiful and oversaw the chipping of tens of thousands of trees for the Christmas tree recycling program. And whereas Kevin worked on any and every special project in parks, such as building fence, repairing dams, maintaining drainages, and preparing parks for special events. And whereas Kevin excelled in working with equipment, in particular the mini excavator that saved thousands of hours of staff time when repairing irrigation lines. And whereas Kevin was contributory in the overall health and vigor of Washoe County parks. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Open Space and Regional Parks Commission expresses its appreciation to Kevin Callahan for his dedication to Washoe County and its residents, and wishes Kevin all the best in his well-deserved retirement and future endeavors. Adopted today. Thank you.
Yeah. Congratulations. So we have the signed resolution here, and then we also have just your recognition of service with the dates of your actual employment for the 19 years signed by all of the commissioners and the county manager. I do want to mention Kevin has been extraordinary for our parks team for many years. The work program really benefited our parks. We had work crews out there sometimes 10, 12 kids, and I say kids, but they could wide variety of ages, but they did a lot of work for us. And with Kevin leaving, it actually is the end of Washoe County Parks having work program leaders. We really struggled in the last probably 2 years before COVID, and then after COVID, it was really difficult to get work crews. So we transitioned the position to a lead park maintenance worker. But Kevin, in the years that he was there, did a tremendous amount of work, and his work with equipment and with the other staff and the maintenance crew has been amazing. So thank you.
Cool. Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, you guys.
And Commissioner Joel, the item is for possible action for the commission to adopt that resolution. So if the commission would
Oh,
like
we need to
do
vote on that.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I just call for a vote to approve the resolution?
You would need a motion and a second, and then a vote on that motion.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adopt the resolution? Or I can make the motion? I make a motion to adopt the resolution to acknowledge Kevin Callahan for his 19 years of service and contributions as the Washoe County Work Program Supervisor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. And any comments on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Congratulations, Kevin. Enjoy retirement. And thank you, Lindsay. Okay, item number 8, presentation by Mike Mazzaferri, PGA from Sierra Sage Golf Course on Sierra Sage Golf Course operations for 2022.
Good afternoon. For the record, Eric Crump with Washoe County's Community Services Department. I just wanted to introduce some representatives from Maz Golf. They fully maintain and operate our Sierra Sage Golf Course, and I believe our last meeting we had an update from Washoe Golf, so this is just a follow-up to that as Mike Mazzaferri was not available. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mike Mazzaferri.
Thank you, Eric. For the record, I'm Mike Mazzaferri from Maz Golf Management. My wife, Chris, and I operate a management company that manages Sierra Sage Golf Course and Wild Creek Golf Course. So today I'm here just to give you a little update on what's going on at Sierra Sage and share with you some of the capital improvements we've done in the past, because we haven't done that with this group. And I think I got a clicker here. But anyway, that's the first tee at Sierra Sage, and that's not today. There was snow on the ground today, and there has been for a long time. So we're hoping to get open here soon, and we're open this afternoon, but we need some warm weather. So which button is it here?
And you want to go ahead and point it to this projector here.
Oh, up here? Okay. Which button is it, top one? Give it to the blank. Glasses. Okay, that's good. Okay, perfect. Thanks, Eric. So this first slide is really, our company took over Sierra Sage in 2010, and the county commission had voted in 2009 to close the golf course, and I've been in the golf business most of my life, really, and thought that too many public courses have closed in Washoe County. In 2006, we had 135 holes of publicly owned golf, and today we have 36 holes of publicly owned golf. You know, we're going to hit 5,000 population here in Washoe County pretty soon, and our public golf is dwindling. But anyway, we took over in 2010, and this chart just shows our rounds of play by year. And you can see that first year we were about 35,000 rounds of golf. The previous year in 2009, when the operator that was there before was running it, there was about 23,000 rounds of golf. So we made a nice jump that first year in 2010. And we continued to hover in that mid-30s to 30, anywhere between 34 and 36,000 rounds all the way over to 2019. And everybody knows what happened then. COVID came along, we were closed, and while we were closed, we got busy because golf wasn't one of those things that you couldn't do. You know, it was an outdoor sport, and we made a lot of changes to be able to be open during that period. But anyway, you'll see in 2020, 21, and 22, 22 was our highest rounds year, and we're above 45,000 rounds, which is about as busy as we can get with the little shorter season up at Sierra Sage. It's at 5,000 feet, and we get a little bit more winter than Reno, and this year we got a lot more. But anyway, the rounds played, you know, we've done really well, and COVID has been good to golf, honestly. We created a lot of new customers. I think mostly the younger generations, millennials in particular. When there wasn't anything else to do during COVID, when they looked to see what they could do, golf was one of the options. And we got a lot of new faces, a lot of new players to the game. And, you know, I realistically, I thought we were gonna, when the world opened back up, we were gonna go down and play, but we created new golfers and we're keeping them. And you can see that pattern over the last 3 years here, where, you know, we're exceeding that 45,000 round mark. Okay, I know I can do this. Point it over here.
Yeah, that's all right. It might be the clicker. I'll go ahead and.
Okay, that'd be
pass
great.
the
To the
slides
next
for you.
slide, yeah. So, you know, we do a lot of programming out at Sierra Sage, as public golf courses should. We have youth programs, we have adult programs, we have a pretty robust men's and ladies club, and we support all kinds of different things, you know, in the community. So, you know, you can go ahead and move that slide forward. And on this slide, you'll see one of the programs we do is First Tee. We have an aggressive schedule this year, spring, summer, and fall classes. First Tee is a wonderful thing in this community, and my wife, Chris, is the executive director, and I'll brag a little bit. This has been the top chapter out of the 150 or so chapters in worldwide, actually. And Northern Nevada's been the top chapter 3 out of the last 4 years. So, you know, we have these great programs, youth programs. We also do PGA Junior League, which has become very popular. We started it, gosh, I think 8 years ago now. And PGA Junior League is the local golf courses create a junior team, and our kids go play against Hidden Valley or Somerset, and they come to Sierra Sage and play. And we have 14 kids on a team, and this year we had so many kids, we're going to have 2 teams. So, and they travel. It's really exciting for the kids. It's kind of like playing high school matches. Those junior league teams are, the younger kids are 7 to 14, and the older kids are 15 to 17. So we have 2 age groups. And then you'll see up there high school golf. North Valley High School is our home team, basically. But we, probably me and my wife can vouch for this, I have a hard time saying no. So I think we have Minogue High School playing this spring. Truckey's coming down because they're not going to get to play probably till August in Truckee, the way the snow is. Maybe June if they're lucky, but high school season will be over. So we got a group from Loyalton. Reed High School has been in and out, but on any given day we might have 6 high schools practicing, and to me that's what we're there for. You know, we're there to really foster the game of golf and provide places for our kids to learn and play, and that's why I have a hard time saying no. So anyway, you'll see up here that top is PGA Junior League. Over to the right is also one of our visiting Junior League teams. Then down lower left is one of the First Tee classes getting started, you know, at the beginning of the class. And then in the middle there's one of my favorite pictures, Augie who comes in and has a hot dog every time he plays. And that's the high. He wants to drive the cart and have a hot dog every time he's there. But anyway, it's a really healthy thing. The kids all walk. None of them ride in carts. The parents come and spectate, and of course they ride in carts, but we charge them, so it's okay. Go ahead. So some of our adult programming, which we do, and not all golf courses do this. I mean, personally, I feel like it's the role of public golf courses to do these kind of things. And we have a program that first picture up there next to the Nevada logo is some of our PGA Hope participants. And PGA Hope is, it stands for Help Our Patriots Everywhere. And it's a national program. The Northern California section of the PGA actually has the largest PGA Hope representation in the country. And we work with the VA hospital. It's the only program that the VA actually partners with anybody, and they partner with the PGA. And it's a great program. It was designed really for any veteran that wanted to come. It's a free learn to golf or come back to the game, free instruction. We play a little bit. It's every Thursday for 6 weeks. We do a spring, summer, and fall session. And they're usually filled up. We'll get 30 to 35 people. I think we're taking 35 this year. And the gentleman in the red shirt there, he's actually blind. And we had 2 blind golfers this year, and amazed us all. We learned how to line them up and point them in the right direction, and they hit the ball. And it's good for us to be out there with them because they had such good attitudes toward playing golf and they couldn't see. And then over on the right is a guy named Anthony Netto, and he developed, it's called the Paragolfer, and that cart, you can see Anthony kind of standing up. He sits on a seat, straps his legs in, there's a strap around his chest, and he can lean over and hit the ball. And he has a foundation called Stand Up in Golf, and he doesn't have use of his legs. And the older generations of adaptive golf carts, the players were sitting, and it was really difficult. This new generation, the Paragolfer, actually stands them up, holds them, and he can lean over and hit the ball. And Anthony is the world long drive champion in the Paragolfer world, and was amazing. We did a little demonstration when we got the cart, and he flew up from Vegas where he lives, and when he was the long drive champ, he hit it over 300 yards out of this cart. So very inspiring. And then the lower left there, that picture, that's just somebody who's regularly out at our golf course, but that's a grandfather and grandson. And we have a really nice practice facility. That's what we call our 19th hole. It's a practice hole. We have 2 practice holes, and you can bring your own balls and go out there for free, practice golf. And we put a lot of effort into maintaining these areas to make them nice so that, if you can't afford a bucket of range balls, you can bring your own balls and hit them and pick them up. And, it's a nice thing. It's very popular. None of the other local golf courses really have anything quite like it. And then over on the right there, you'll see that's our Special Olympic group. And we host 24 days this year, always on Saturday from 11 to 1 in the spring. We take a little break in the heat of summer and then start up again in the fall. And for us, it's fantastic to host a lot of Down syndrome folks and certainly special needs people, playing golf. And I think every time they roll in, it cheers up our whole staff and everybody because they have such a good time and smiles all around. And so we host the Special Olympic golf on Saturdays. And then I put the Nevada logo up there because we do host the University of Nevada teams. They practice a lot at our facilities on the range and our practice holes. The women practice on these practice holes, I think, 3 days a week. And the men are out there about once a week. But, we do our part to allow them, space to practice. And, I think that's part of our mission, too. So anyway, next slide, please. One of our other, it's not really a program, but this is our men's club and ladies club. And our men's club, I think, will hit the 400 member mark this year. Very aggressive schedule. We play every other weekend, either on a Saturday or Sunday. We alternate the Saturdays and Sundays, and of course have club championships and match plays and different events. But it's really turned into one of our most festive times when we host these weekend men's club events, and that just happens to be one of them. I think that was a shotgun last year that had 140 players. Then over on the right's our ladies club having a meeting. I usually try to avoid those, but I get sucked in every now and then. They're terrific, actually. They do a lot for the golf course. And our ladies club has grown. I think when we got there, it was about 40 players or 40 members, and it's over 100 now. And they play every Tuesday and are very active. And, I think that's an important thing we do there too. And, if you can't afford to join a private club and go that route, you can join our men's or ladies club and have regular activities to play in. So. And I threw this slide in because this was a drone shot from last year. I think it might have been the year before. But we've worked continuously since 2010 when we took over on golf course conditions. And, our standards are high. Mother Nature sometimes makes it a little hard on us, whether it's dry or wet or windy. North Valleys are a little bit windy up there at 5,000 feet, but we've continually just tried to put the best product out there and worked. And I think there was one point last year where I was, okay, everything's good. I was happy with everything that was out there. But anyway, I'm going to talk a little bit now about some of the capital improvements that we've done. And per our contract, we needed to start doing capital improvements, I think, in 2017. And we don't usually have any problem finding improvements we need to do. Sierra Sage was built in 1960 by the Air Force, and then Washoe County built the other 9 holes in 67. Irrigation upgrade was done in 1999, but the buildings, the golf course, it's just, there's a continuous list of capital improvements, and we get one done and 2 more pop ups, really in reality. But a couple of the things we've done, I threw a few pictures in here. That machine on the left is a machine it's a company that machine's doing a process called dry-jecting. And, if you're golfers, you understand aerifying greens is very disruptive, and usually you pull a core out of the ground and sand your greens, and for 2 weeks maybe your greens are torn up and bumpy and sandy and not very good, and it's really hard on revenue, and people get grumpy when your greens aren't very good. And we started doing a process 7 or 8 years ago now called dry-ject, and that machine, you can see the green hopper on it and a hose hooked to it, uses high-pressure water, shoots a hole in the ground basically, and injects it with sand, so it never pulls a plug out. And we started that process quite a few years ago now, and it's changed the profile of our greens. And our greens really, our root depth when we started it was about 2 inches on our greens, and now it's 5 or 6 inches. And what that means is we can be a little bit more aggressive on the top with how we mow them, how we maintain them, and they're a lot more durable. We have really small greens, and this process has allowed us to get the greens to where we want them. And it's not easy. You can see the machine up top there, and it takes us about 10 or 12, and I'll say guys, but I think we had a lady help us one year, but they're 100-pound bags of sand we put in there. And as an example, that green he's standing on is our practice green. And typically when we did a normal aerification, we would put maybe 800 or 1,000 pounds of sand on this green. After we pulled a plug and swept up all the plugs, we'd put the sand on it and try and drag it in. And we'd get 800 or 1,000 pounds of sand in the ground. Maybe a third of it we would mow off, because we never got it in the holes. And it's hard on equipment and hard on putters, obviously. And so we started doing this dry-ject, and as an example, before we would put 1,000 pounds of sand on that green. Now we put 3,000 pounds of sand in the green. And when we're done with the process, you can't get a cup of sand off the top of that green. All the sand goes in the hole. And the bottom of the hole, 6 to 7 inches deep, is actually wider than the top. The top's about the size of a pencil eraser. And it's just a terrific machine. Unfortunately, we can't buy it. We have to hire these folks and provide all the labor and sand, but we've done it. And I'll talk briefly in a minute about the machine on the bottom there is called a Air 2 G2, and it's a machine that injects air into the ground, and we use it on our greens only. And every one of our greens, it's a 3-week rotation, gets Air 2 G2 with regularity, and it's made a huge difference. It gets air and water down to the root zone. And in the summer, especially when it's heat, the heat comes, the greens compact, and you have trouble getting water. You turn on the sprinklers and it's instantly standing water. Well, when we're Air 2 G2 and it's not, it gets in the ground, it gets down to that profile. And although it's a very expensive machine, we've used it with regularity, and it's made a difference. So some of our capital improvements that we've done, this is 2016 and 17, and I just talked about DryJect. We continue to do all 22 of our greens the last 7 or 8 years, and it's expensive, but I feel like, if your greens are good, I tell my staff the cheeseburger tastes better. It's just, if the greens are bad, you suffer the wrath of the customers, and when your greens are good, everything seems to be better. But in 2016, those 2 years combined, we actually DryJected in the spring and fall, so we did it twice, which we're only doing it once a year now. We started an irrigation, we did an irrigation computer software upgrade that was long needed. We were using some older software. We had to put some new equipment in, and we got that done. That was, you can see some numbers up there. It was pretty pricey. Our storage lake where we store our reclaimed effluent water was having some real issues. The intake on the lake failed and kind of caved in on itself, and we didn't even know where it was. But it's an intake that goes out into the lake and then pulls water into our wet well, and we irrigate into our irrigation system. So that year we just happened to have our lake intake fail, and we had to put a diver you can see in the pond and go find it. And once he found it, he had to help us pull it out. We drained the lake, and at that time we took advantage of doing the work, and we put aerators in our lake that it uses an air compressor, and it runs a hose around the lake, and not unlike your home aquarium, it puts oxygen in the water and makes the lake healthier. You'll see some algae there, when you're using reclaimed water, and it's higher in nitrogen and grows algae really well. We put these aerators in, and it cleaned up the lake, and we did all that in mostly 2017. Put a new weather station in that year, and that weather station talks to an irrigation computer and allows us to do really precise watering at 8 o'clock every night when our water comes on. It does an update right before and looks at everything from wind, UV, if there's been any rain, or the weather station will do an update, and it goes right to the program and adjusts. And so if it rained an hour before we were supposed to start watering, that program adjusts, and and in fact, even while the program's on, if it rained or something changed, it'll do mid-cycle adjustments. And then as part of our irrigation upgrade, you'll see lower right there, I mentioned software. We went to a higher level software system that just has more tools for us to water more efficiently and keep track of things a little bit better. So that was mostly 2017. 2018, this next year, we tried something new that year, which we're still talking about. We did a nighttime DryJect, and we did it with construction lights and while we were closed at night, and we'd not spent that much time out there, but I don't know if it was a combination of the lights or it's like this every night, but thousands of frogs come out of the desert, little frogs, and we had an issue, but we were having to shoo away frogs but we did the dry jet at night. We were open the day before and open the day after. It never affected our play. But it was a lot harder than we thought it was and it was going to be. And it turned out fine, but we're not doing it anymore. Also that year in 2018, our pump house that stores our 3 pumps that provide pressure and pump our irrigation water throughout the property, it was in disrepair. I mean, we had put some computers in there and the roof was leaking and we were having all kinds of problems. Plus our pumps weren't in very good shape. And these buildings typically are built with a pretty significant hatch in the roof so you can pull pumps out and service them and so forth. And so we ended up putting a hatch in this building, putting a new roof on it. You know, that was a project in itself. And up there, you'll see the intake replaced with the new intake. We started that project in 17 and finished it in 18. And we excavated the lake, and you can see the yellow is the new intake. But during that whole process, we had a lot of rental equipment out there. And I don't know how this slid in there, but we put a new garage door in too. We have like 7 of them, but this made the list somehow. So 2019, and that's me there with our Air 2 G2 piece of equipment. When we buy something that expensive, I drive it at least once. Actually, I did all 22 of our greens the first time when we got it, just to understand how this machine worked. You see an air compressor underneath there, and it's got 2 motors on it, an air compressor, and those 3 things you see sticking up actually use compressed air and poke a hole into the ground. It goes down 7 to 9 inches, and then it pushes air out, and you can actually see the ground come up when you use this machine. And you think you're doing damage to it, but you're not. You're just putting oxygen in the profile and creating a pathway for water and nutrients and everything else. And this machine changed the game for us as far as the greens. We struggled with our greens the first 3 or 4 years, and now and it's so important. If our staff is busy and we can't get somebody out there to do it, I'll do it. That's how strongly I believe. But this is a $50,000 machine that we have almost worn out. We're looking at some new ones. The other thing we did on our range, we poured a concrete pad and put in, during the winter when the grass goes dormant, we can still be busy, and we have a beautiful grass driving range tee, but if we stayed open 12 months hitting off grass, we wouldn't have any. And so now pretty much November through March, we're hitting off mats on the range, and that was a significant investment, just pouring concrete, buying dividers, buying the mats and so forth. And then on the lower left, back 1 second on that previous slide, we started this is a couple-year project too. We started a nursery, and we had to bring in a lot of fill dirt, and over time we brought in dirt, and it took us about 10 months, I think, in total to do this project. So we started it in the fall of 2019 and finished it in the summer of 2020. But it's basically a nursery, and it's all bent grass and POA. That's the 2 grasses that comprise our greens. And so we decided, if something happens, we've had hydraulic leaks, we've had people vandalize, we've had different issues with our greens. It's nice to have a patch of grass you can go cut some sod out of that's the same as your greens. And in the past, we would go buy some sod, and that grass is completely different, and it will always look different. And you put that piece of sod in your green, and it just doesn't look the same. So we embarked on an aggressive, it's about 100,000 square foot nursery. And it's partly fairway grass and green grass and for our putting greens, but we started those in 19. So on to 2020. Just the top left is we put plugs. We did a traditional aerification of our greens that year so we could get enough plugs to put some of that natural grass. So we dragged some plugs in and then seeded it. And that picture just to the right of that is later on that summer what it looked like. And it came in, and it was almost a year-long process building that nursery. You can see we're continuing to dry jack there. We did a nice course signage project that year. One of the local iron companies made us some custom signs that we can help control cart traffic, and just general directional signs around the course. And they're durable and they look nice, and they're rusted out, and they even look better that way. We also did a significant amount of drainage work on the golf course in 2020, and you can see you can see the pipe at the top of that lower left picture, and it's pretty much clogged up. And we go in and we clean it up, put a new pipe in, and give it a channel, and that literally thousands of feet of that around the golf course, just controlling water around cart paths, getting the water to flow where you want it to flow. And after being there almost 13 years now, we can pretty much tell you where all the puddles are going to be when the rain comes. And then the other thing we did in 2020, which was really, our parking lot was not in great shape, and we came in and did a heavy crack seal, patched where we needed to patch, and you know, our big parking lot, we came in and did all that, and we resealed it, actually put a double amount of sealer on it because it needed it, and then of course repainted all the striping and stuff, and it looked like a new parking lot, and it still looks good even 3 years later. So in 2021, we started a bathroom project, and I thought this would be a 3-month deal, maybe 2 if we were lucky, but that picture on the right, you can see kind of a power pole there. We needed to get power to one of the 2 bathrooms that were on the golf course. And these restrooms are open air, you know, like you might see in some of the parks, and you turn the water off in the winter and quit using them. Well, we can be busy in the winter, you know, when if we don't have snow on the ground, and it might be a 60-degree day, but the nighttime temps are still such that we got to shut the water off and keep these bathrooms closed. We were having to bring in Santa huts, you know, like 5 months out of the year. And that was expensive, and people complained about it. So we bit the bullet and took on an aggressive remodel of the bathrooms, all new fixtures. We put heaters, as you can see. We put windows in them because they didn't have windows in them. There's fans in the roofs now. We had to run power to the one bathroom, which took 1.5 years by the time you start the process and finish it with Nevada Energy. So if you want to run some power, start that project early. And we're waiting on doors right now, and they'll be done. And hopefully next season we'll have heaters and be using our bathrooms year round, and our customers will like that. And then again, we did dry jacked, and you can see that machine there, the sand, you can see bags, kind of sand bags. We use clean wash sand, and the hose, the water shoots into the ground, and then there's pistons, and the sand goes through those tubes and into the ground, and it's quite the machine. So, and then just a few of the things we did last year. We put in 2 of these new water bottle refill stations because it's just what you need to do in today's world, and plus it keeps our bars pretty busy, and people, when the heat comes, want to fill their hydro flasks or what have you. And we're blessed here. We have really good tap water, but these have filters in them, and, you know, kind of state of the art. And you can fill they're right near our restrooms. If you're using the restroom in between nines or before you go out and play, you can fill up your water bottle. We did build our staff called it the butterfly garden because we got some native seed varieties from the state, actually, and we built this big garden between our 9th and 18th greens. We had to run drip, and it's an above ground a little bit, and we did that this year, and it enhanced our kind of turn when you went from 9 to 18, and when you came off 18 and you were finished. It's a really nice thing. And then the big project in 2022 was we completely redid all of our bunkers, and The sand we brought in from Marysville, California, very expensive. I wish I would have done it a couple years ago when fuel prices were a little different. But when you start trucking from a distance, that sand probably would have cost half that amount 2 or 3 years ago. But, you know, we got to a point where our bunkers, when you irrigate as much as we do in the summer, the bunkers get hard and crusty. And, you know, every 10 or 12 years, you just got to go in and upgrade them. And so we did that. And the picture in the middle is what they looked like when we were done. And a lot of positive comments on that too. So I don't know if I have another slide up there or not. Oh, we started 2023. So we put the hatch in our pump house. You can see we're pulling a pump out there on that picture on the right. You pull it up through the ceiling with a truck with a crane on it. And we pulled all our pumps and did maintenance on them, you know, just to do kind of it's a preventative maintenance, but we found out that we needed a new drive shaft. We needed to replace some casing. So our pumps are like new going into this year. We started that. We're finishing up the bathrooms. We're not exactly sure. We've got a couple of things on the board we're going to do this year, but hopefully Mother Nature comes around and gets us growing and gets us some revenue here soon so we can move forward with some improvements this year. And then I think I have one more maybe, and this was kind of the closing slide, but I have a closing comment before, and I talked to Eric about this earlier, but we also have golf boards. We're the first course in Nevada to get them. I think there was one course in California that had them before us, but we jumped in about, I think 7 years ago now and got golf boards when they first came out. And these are really popular. Your clubs go on the front. You ride it similar to a snowboard, use your body weight to steer it. And they're 4-wheel drive, really durable. They're great on the golf course. They never slip. They never, you know, none of these golf boards, we have 20 of them. And a lot of days, all of them will go out. And it's just, we get a lot of people from the lake. You know, just a few days ago, we had somebody, they wanted a golf board and snowboard in the same day. So they came and golf boarded 9 holes and then went snowboarding, and they were from Detroit, took pictures, and, you know, we're on Facebook and the golf boards, but the golf boards are really fun, and we continue to do that, and, you know, it gives us a little bit something different. We have a big contingency from Truckee that are snowboarders and kind of winter ski people, and they come ride golf boards. But with that, I've got one more issue I just want to bring up, because I don't know if this group has heard about it, but we're in kind of a desperate situation with our water. City of Reno provides our water. We have reclaimed effluent water from, is it the Lemon Valley plant out there? I think Stead, maybe it's called Stead. I don't know what the sewer plant, but the City of Reno operates it. And unfortunately, the City of Reno has much different views on how to deal with reclaimed water and what to do with it. Their idea is to sell it. And when I signed a contract with the county in 2010 to operate Sierra Sage and kind of save it from closure, in our agreement, we paid a certain amount for water. And that was based on an agreement Washoe County had with the City of Reno. And what we didn't know is the price of that water remained the same until we paid off the cost of the pipeline that they built from the sewer treatment plant to the golf course. Well, I don't like debt, so we worked on that and we got the pipeline paid off. Well, what that did was, and I was unaware of this agreement because it was from the 90s, that the county and the city came to terms, and it involved the North Valleys Park too. So anyway, long story short, we got a bill in 2020 from the City of Reno for $300,000 for water going back to 2017 when we paid off the pipeline. And what the agreement said basically is we pay a minimum of half of potable, not to exceed 70% of potable. Well, our old price was very, very reasonable. It was amounted to $40,000 a year for 350 acre feet of water. In 2022, I paid $160,000 for water. The city of Reno put a new meter on how they track this water. We used to give them a report, and every gallon of water we pumped into our irrigation system and put on the ground, we paid for. Now we're paying for water that goes into my storage lake, so we're actually paying for evaporation. We're expecting to pay $200,000 or north of $200,000 this year. A year and a half ago, when we had to start paying for this water, Washoe County and the staff said, look, we'll talk to the city of Reno. We think we can resolve this issue, but it's become much bigger. And I'm adamant about, I've met with the mayor, Megan Ebert, who is our representative for District 4, and City of Reno staff, and as well as the county. I think Eric and their team and county manager and assistant county manager Dave Solera have met with the City of Reno to talk about this water issue, and there's a wall. And so we are actually going to be going public with this issue probably in the next few weeks, and our men's and ladies clubs are ready to step up, and you've seen it when people come to meetings in force and fill out comment cards. And but the gist of it is for example, the North Valley parks are served, the water that they use to irrigate that park comes from the City of Reno sewer plant out there. The county pays for it. Parks in South Reno, where the county supplies reclaimed water to a city park, the city does not pay. The county gives it to them free. And I just, we're the only golf course in Washoe County now paying for reclaimed water. Everybody else is getting it free. The Arrow Creeks, the Wolf Runs, the Lake Ridges, Hidden Valley, and it's just not right. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out in front, not that you need something else to talk about, but I didn't want you to read about it on the front page of the newspaper, because I think that's where we're headed. And we're going to try and bring some political pressure and through our users and folks in the community, because it's not right that we're paying way more for water than all the other golf courses. So with that, I'll answer some questions if you have a few. Or
Mike, I have a question related to that.
Sure.
Aren't they trying to get rid of some of the water from the stead?
Makes no
I
sense.
thought they were trying to get a pipeline out to American Flats or something.
So when we don't use this water, and Eric can speak to this, but when we don't use this water in the winter, it goes into Swan Lake. And right now we use about 120 million gallons of water over our irrigating season, spring to late fall, sometimes into December. And the city of Reno encouraged us when we were paying the lower fee to use as much water as we could, and I like to keep the water lean because I like playability and good conditions on the golf course, and the grass grows better when all the water's not on the surface anyway. But now we're paying per thousand, to the tune of about $1.60 per thousand, and in any given summer night we might pump 700,000-800,000 gallons of water. Well, you do the math on that, and that's a big expense on a daily basis for water. And you're right, though. If we're talking about, getting aggressive with our water, and where we'll water roughs one night a week, fairways and tees 3 nights a week, and greens like 5 nights a week. Well, we used to water everything 7 nights a week. And we might use 40 or 50 million gallons of water less. All that water is going to go into Swan Lake. So, because that's where it goes. The only 2 users out there are North Valley's park and the golf course. There's some smaller users, but where I have the complaint with the city of Reno is Mayor's Park out there, for example, is a city of Reno park. They get free water, and it's just it's just not okay with me, and so we're gonna be embarking on a vocal dialogue with the city, and in a nice manner. But there's a chance this golf course can't survive paying $200,000 to $250,000 a year for water. It'll put us in a price range that won't be serving our demographic, and our mission is affordable golf. And typically we get more blue collar or people that can't afford to go to country clubs, and retirees and that kind of thing. And if we raise our rates to a certain point, you come once a week to our golf course, it's cheaper for you to go join Somerset or go join, and Duncan Golf, you can play multiple courses. And that's been the problem with public golf is, we've as time has gone and new courses came on in the late 90s, with public golf courses went this way and the resort courses and the community courses, took the people that spent the most money away from the public golf courses. So here we are, 18 years later. Brookside closed first in 2006, and we've had 99 holes of public golf close in Washoe County. And like I said earlier, we have 36 left. And it's getting critical. If we lose Sierra Sage because we can't afford to keep it open because of the cost of water, I'll go and close it if I have to, but I'm not going to go quietly, and neither are my customers. So I just wanted this group to know that, and I think the staff and the county folks know what's coming. I think this is something that needs to be discussed on a broader. I don't think any of the parks should pay for water, and so with that, any more questions? Sorry, I didn't mean to end that way, but I needed to share that with you.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions or comments from commissioners?
Yeah, Mike, appreciate the presentation. Really didn't know what all was going on there, and seeing the work you've done, keeping the place, keeping the property in good order and improving it and increasing the use of it. That's, I think, that's really a whole picture of the parks group is get people participating out in these facilities. So you've done a great job with that, and thank you for that.
Thank you, and we have a lot of new people coming to the area, and they a lot of Californians and so forth just moving here, but they come out, and a lot of them are veterans, and it was an old Air Force Base golf course, and it looks like it, the building looks like it, but they're really happy with the conditions and what we do. So thank you for that.
All right,
Great.
thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Item number 9, presentation, discussion, and possible recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners to approve a 3-year sponsorship agreement, 2023, 2024, and 2025, between Washoe County and the Great Reno Balloon Race for the annual event to be held at Washoe County's Rancho San Rafael Regional Park, to include waiver of park facility rental and use fees, $8,825 in waived fees for each event year, in consideration of Washoe County being recognized as a major event sponsor.
Thank you. Again, for the record, Colleen Wallace, Barnum Park Operations Superintendent. I am here to just introduce this item. We do have Pete Copeland. He's the Executive Director of Great Reno Balloon Races to do the presentation. But before the presentation, just wanted to kind of briefly go over some high-level items in the staff report. So the Great Reno Balloon Races has been in this community since 1982. It has been at Rancho and is one of the premier events that happens at Rancho San Rafael Park. People think of Rancho and they think of the Great Reno Balloon Races. So for several years, let's see, it probably says it over here in our previous action. I believe since roughly 2012, we have been a sponsor of the Great Reno Balloon Races, and when I say we, it's Washoe County as a whole. So this event or this item typically didn't go to Park Commission, and it just went straight to the Board of County Commissioners. But in talking with county management, they felt it was important enough, with this premier event being in one of our parks, that this Regional Parks and Open Space Commission also got to hear, the item. So that is why it's coming to you first, and then it'll go to the board in April. And we do basically, years past, we used to charge a fee. So Great Reno Balloon Races paid Washoe County Parks the cost of, you'll see in that fee breakdown, what it costs to reserve those spaces in the park. And since the economic recession and the fact that this is a free event for tens of thousands of people in our community, it was in everybody's best interest to waive those fees and then become a sponsor. And then you can see through the sponsorship, The county gets one balloon with a county logo displayed and up to 2 passengers for rides during the 3-day event. The event is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on the weekend after Labor Day weekend. The logo is displayed year-round on the promoter's website. A full-page ad in the event program, a 10x10 vending promo location on Balloon Boulevard during the event, 10 official posters, 2 official posters framed to match existing inventory of past balloon race artwork, and announcements throughout the event. The county manager's office is heavily involved with a lot of these facets with the booth and whatnot, representing Washoe County as a whole. So if anybody doesn't have any questions, and you're welcome if we want to bring up the fee waiver, we can look at that. It's roughly $8,825 in what would be the cost of those facilities that are reserved, that are utilized for the balloon races. And some of that is lost revenue. For example, we wouldn't be able to rent out the ranch house to a group, so we would charge that lost revenue fee, and that's all incorporated into those fees. But I'd like Pete to do his presentation so you can kind of see what this event means to our community, and then certainly open for questions afterwards. So Pete, come on up. Okay, and then you can just toggle in there.
Or I can ask her to do it.
Yes.
Right, thank you. All right, very good. Thank you, Colleen, so much. Good afternoon, committee members and Commissioner. My name is Pete Copeland. I'm the executive director of our wonderful Great Reno Balloon Race here in Reno, Nevada. I have been the director for the past 12 years. Prior to that, I was the founder of Northern Nevada Business Weekly, a business publication here, so I have a business background. 12 years ago, I was recruited by some individuals. I just sold the Business Weekly, and I was recruited by the outgoing executive director over at the Great Reno Balloon Race. Her name is Marlene Olson. Some of you may know her. And she was leaving the balloon races. And at the time, it was 2009 and 10. And if you recall, 2009 and 10 was a very challenging financial time for our community. The balloon races was in a very bad way. Wells Fargo, who is one of our largest sponsors, was just had bought Wachovia and was stepping out of the venue, and it was in a really dark place financially, and we were wondering if it was going to be able to move forward. And my very first meeting as director, I was actually a board member at the time, my very first meeting I held was with Commissioner Joan, who has just left the board, who was in my district, and I told Kitty, we're going to be gone. The event's going out of business, and it's going to mean a lot, but it's going to obviously impact the community, but it's going to impact your community more than any of them. And the first thing she said is, what can we do to help? And I said, well, this is like drinking a lot of beers in college, and we just need to drink one at a time. And we just started knocking cans down, and we were able to keep the event going with some amazing sacrifices from a lot of individuals. And I'll give you just a little backdrop on the balloon race. As a free community event, the free part of it is your entire revenue stream. I'll give you an example. Burning Man sells no sponsorship. Their revenue is all gate. I have no gate. Albuquerque Balloon Festival does about $35 million a year, $20 million through their gate. I have no gate. So you can see it presented some real challenges for us financially. But we were able to get there, and I wanted to just bring that story up. I hadn't actually planned on talking about that, but I think it's important because the saving of this event started with someone in Washoe County who said yes, and said, yeah, it's important enough to save. So on that note, I'm here to say thank you. I'm here to say thank you and show you and reaffirm to this body and this committee a little bit about what the Great Reno Balloon Race is, because I think you're going to be surprised that we're a lot more than just getting beautiful balloons up in the air. So on that note, if I can get my trusty. So founded in 1982, does anyone know where the balloon races came from? It's a little trivia question. We were born out of the air races. I always make a comment that we were the Simpsons out of the Tracy Ullman show from the 80s, if you ever remember any of that. But we were a sideshow for the Reno Championship air races. They would actually do the balloon program in the morning as folks and fans started gathering at 9 o'clock in the morning. It's in the middle of fall. Generally, it's not 100 degrees. And so the ballooning came out of that. It was so popular that the folks at the air races said, why don't we move this to the weekend before and have something going on? Because this is a great little venue, but we can't do it here. Where could we go? Someone had the wisdom to say, there's this wonderful little park down the street called Rancho San Rafael. Why don't we go put 20 balloons there? So that's how we started. I think that's important right now because our special events are in a little bit of trouble with the loss of the air races, but I think it's a great story. From day one, the Great Reno Balloon Races has been just a monster. Upwards of 150,000 people on a weekend. If we have good weather and no smoke, we're going to have a lot of people. 75,000 on a Saturday. It's amazing to see 75,000 well-behaved people, which is really unusual. Every year, we're upwards of 100 balloons. I think the three things that I always try to say that in the organization we talk about is we're going to be free, we're going to be safe, and we're going to be fun. We're up to 100 balloons because we want to fly safe. The Great Reno Balloon Race is an invitation-only event. Not anyone can fly. Albuquerque, they'll accept any balloonist. You could got your pilot's license yesterday and start flying a balloon, they'll take you there. Our event, you've got to have 100 hours of flying. You got to have background checks. We vet every pilot. It's just an extraordinary process that these pilots go through because we want to make sure we have the best pilots. And I'll tell you, in the 41 years that we've been flying, knock on wood, we've never had a major accident. We've never had a death. We've never had anything like that to bring that negativity towards our event. Where other events, Albuquerque sees at least 1 or 2 accidents a year. So not that that's a good comparison, but does give you an idea of how serious we take this event and how we make sure that we cross all of our T's and dot our I's. We are the world's largest free hot air ballooning event. Every ballooning event out there is gated. We're thoroughly hated within our industry, right? I get more calls about why we don't gate our event and why we set a precedent of being free. It's just how we started, and it's just part of who we are. Considered premier ballooning event by pilots. We have a long list of pilots that want to fly here, and like I said, it's invitation only. You have to go through a lot of hoops to jump to get into the event. And it's renowned, it's locally loved, it's probably the most popular, iconic event. I'm just going to throw that out there. We get no pushback. Our fans love this event, which are your customers here in the community. So just a little background there. Event overview, past 41 years we flew. We even went to flight during the pandemic. We lost the event that year because of that. All the special events were canceled that year, but we were able to get a few balloons up at Rancho San Rafael just to spite the pandemic, and we said we were going to fly for continuous 41 years, and we did. Those 41 years have all taken place at Rancho San Rafael. We've never gone to another location, so that's really kind of our home. It really adds to the whimsical experience, Rancho San Rafael. If you've ever been to another ballooning event, they're all held in community parks. There's just something special about Rancho San Rafael, and our fans tell us this all the time about how close and personal they can get to the event, and we think that's one of the things that makes it special. But things that we've done to this event to make it even that much better. I'll talk a little bit about some of our partnerships, but we've added Dawn Patrol. We're now on, this year we'll be honoring our 40th consecutive year of flying Dawn Patrol. Probably our most popular of our event is the Dawn Patrol. And consider the premier Dawn Patrol flight in the world. If you go to, again, I'll just use Albuquerque as an example. If you go to Albuquerque and see their Dawn Patrol, it takes off and it's gone. Where ours, because of the conditions we fly in here, is able to fly over the park, and it really makes for a much better spectacle for our fans. But we've added our Super Glow show. We've expanded Dawn Patrol. So we've done a variety of things to continue to improve the experience for our fans. Demographics, a little bit about the business. We're all about money as well. Non-local attendance is roughly 40%. We bring people as far as Europe away. We know that because they contact our office. GRBR was one of the primary events to the area. People come here specifically for this event. Average length of stay is far longer than the average length of stay in the city. It's usually 2.5 days. They stay here for the 4.5 days. It's wonderful. Estimated total impact, just over $6 million. 63% of the attendance will return next year. People come back to this event, locals and tourism. 38 attendees will be here in the foreseeable future. 100% would recommend the event. And then on average, the 21 years over, the average age is 46, which is probably a little bit lower than our demographic here in the city. So a little bit of stuff there. And then the funner stuff, we see this event, sometimes we usually cliche, we're so close to the trees, we don't see the forest. Sometimes we think about that in Northern Nevada, I believe. We have some of the most amazing special events here. When you go outside of Nevada and you see what they do for special events and how they're done, it really is a tribute to how professional our community is. But one of the things that I've always admired is how the national and international press view this event. I'm just going to, it's not on here. I didn't put it into this presentation. 2016, the Weather Channel, I thought this was good. The Weather Channel did, for September, their best 10 places to go and travel for September. And I remember reading it, and it started off by talking about the Maldives. And I thought, oh, yeah, that's great. That's a great photo of the Maldives. Second place they talked about was Machu Picchu. And I thought, oh, great, I've never been to Machu Picchu. Third place they said on the list to go was the Great Reno Balloon Race. So sometimes I think we don't think of it as grand and big as it is, but it is to our fan. And it's really popular, and it's internationally renowned. The Darth Vader balloon, which we bring as one of the most popular balloons, it flies out of Europe. So gives you an idea about the international flavor, but just some ideas, and I won't go through all these, but these are articles that we'll see regarding our event. Here's another one, 12 spectacular balloon festivals from coast to coast. The one consistency is that most of these events cost money, where ours, especially anything of our size, is free, is just unheard of. And then free things to do in Nevada, cheer on the hot air balloons. I think that was the number one thing they talked about, is great spectacles in Northern Nevada. And then I've got a few more other articles. They're actually embedded with links on the presentation, so if you want to go back and look at some of these YouTubes, it's great to see. And then here's one of the things that I think that we probably don't talk enough about, that is something that's really dear to our organization, is all the things that we do with our platform to support the community. And I'll just start really is, how about our partnership, our tissue paper partnership? And I'm going to get to that in a minute, but that's a partnership with Washoe County School Districts. And it's been a partnership for 33 years. And what Washoe County School Districts do, the 5th grade, is they build balloons out of tissue paper. We supply, cover all the costs to build these balloons, cover all the transportation, and then on Friday of the event, all these classes will come out in a controlled environment, and we'll actually inflate the balloons, these balloons they create, and let them take off. It's amazing to see how much fun this is. It's hands-on STEM, and it's been going on for 33 years, and it's one of our most prized product we have. So I have to throw that out there, but other things that we do within the community, Paint the Pink Park, that's a breast cancer awareness. We have so much fun with it. We encourage everyone. On Saturday is our biggest day. There'll be 70,000 people out there. It's just to see a pink. We think it's a great thing. Most of us have moms. My mom was a cancer survivor, so it's just a great venue to do. Boys and Girls Club of the Truckee Meadows. We're highly involved with the Boys and Girls Club of Truckee Meadows. PBS Reno is another great platform we love. Step 2, Children's Cabinet. I've had a partnership with the Children's Cabinet for 32 years. What we do is, obviously, many of you are probably familiar with the Children's Cabinet. They come out every year, and we've provided over 15,000 rides for at-risk kids in the community. It's a great team-building exercise. It's a great exercise to bring the kids out for that. It's wonderful. Teen Challenge, another organization we partnered with. I mentioned mentioned the tissue paper balloon, partner with Wilbur May, and then it just goes on and on, the Girl Scouts and so forth. So a lot of, we use our platform to help a lot of other charities and nonprofits within our community just because of this huge scale of what we bring to the table. And there's our tissue paper. There's a great photo of the kids. They create all that literally through tissue paper. You can see as the balloon starts to take off. We'll have staff members. Generally, I force my board members, my volunteer board members to get out there. We'll fuel them up for the kids and then help them get these balloons into the air. It's a wonderful experience. If you're ever out there at the event on Friday around 9:30, it's really fun to watch. And then volunteerism. I think volunteerism is a big fabric of any community as far as being involved. We have over hundreds of volunteers that come out every year, provide hours upon hours of thoughtful giving so we can make sure that we get this event off the ground. And a lot of that is, I wouldn't have to use as many volunteers to do many of the things I did if I was gated. So volunteerism and all those things come because we are a free venue. And allow that aspect to our community. So there's video links here. Again, if you ever want to go in and take a look at some of the videos or some time lapse in there of what we do, it's pretty amazing how our pilots fly in this time lapse. The time lapse video that's in there was actually produced by the county I think it was in 2018, so it's pretty good. And then, of course, I'll wrap it up with my last slide, I think. Wonderful photo of our Dawn Patrol with our beautiful downtown Reno. In our world, we use the term, a picture is worth 1,000 words. There you go. It's a beautiful venue. It's a beautiful event. It's highly thought of. It drives economic development. It creates jobs in our community. It creates something outside of the world of gaming that is a positive inclination to our venue. So hopefully you've enjoyed this shorter presentation, and I'll be happy to take any questions.
Well, thank you very much. Any questions or comments from commissioners?
I have a question. What's new for 23?
Balloons. Well, our big thing is we'll have new special shape balloons. Every year we try to bring in the special shapes, are kind of our marketing hook, and we try to bring in new special shapes every year. And that's what we use to kind of message to bring in our tourism base, which is the Sacramento, Northern California drive markets. So I have lots of new special shapes, but I can't give you that information yet.
Any other questions?
All right, thank you so much.
Well, thank you for what you do, and I think it's a travesty that we've lost the air races, and I sure hope we can do whatever we can to support the balloon races.
Thank you so much.
So we need a motion. Where are we here? Where's the motion?
So the item is for a 3-year sponsorship agreement. So it'll be for this year, 2023, and then 2024 and 2025.
There we go. Do we have?
This is Commissioner Dake. I'll make a motion that the Open Space and Regional Park Commission recommend to the Board of County Commissioners to approve a 3-year sponsorship agreement for 23, 24, and 25 between Washoe County and the Great Reno Balloon Races, Inc. for the annual event to be held at Washoe County's Rancho San Rafael Regional Park, to include a waiver of the park facility rental and use fees, $88.25, and waive fees for each event year in consideration of Washoe County being recognized as a major event sponsor.
And do we have a second on that motion?
A second.
Thank you. Any comment or discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, presentation, discussion, and possible approval of the proposed May Arboretum and Botanical Garden donation policy. The program fees have needed to be updated, and donations for trees and benches are proposed to increase to industry standards.
Okay, thank you. For the record, Colleen Wallace, Barnum Park Operations Superintendent. So just to give a brief update, Washoe County Regional Parks and Open Space has a variety of different policies. The policies just really provide some guardrails for how we do business. We brought the fees and charges policy to you last time, along with the fee schedule changes. Luke Sorensen is our horticulturalist, and he's going to be giving today's presentation. But before he gives the presentation, I just wanted to give a brief background about the desire to kind of create this as more of a policy as opposed to just a program. So right now, the Arboretum, and he'll go through all of this in his presentation, but currently we have a donation policy. So this policy that we're proposing, the Arboretum donation policy, is just really a sub-policy, if you will, of that larger donation policy. It's always been recognized that the May Arboretum and Botanical Garden has taken donations since its inception. This just really formalizes the process a little bit more, and as stated previously, it will really bring the program more into what is the industry standard for donations like benches and trees. So Luke, why don't you come on up and we'll let you do your presentation. Thank you.
Well, I hope that my millennial skills will work on this, but okay, I guess not. Could you help me?
Can you verify it's on the side?
Yeah.
All right.
Not working. It's all good. Okay, well, thank you. So, of course, I am Luke Sorensen, the horticulturist of Washoe County, and I manage the May Arboretum of Rancho Santa Fe Park, which is on the southern end of the park itself. And I really just want to emphasize the importance of this Arboretum in this community. As we know, or of course, that the Arboretum is the only recognized Arboretum of Nevada itself. And so it's one and only. So it's very unique, and it draws many visitors to the park itself, or to the Arboretum. So recently, in the past couple years, 3 years, we've been tapping out about 100,000 people per year visiting the Arboretum. And last year, when we had Dragon Lights, an additional 92,000 individuals came and visited and went through the Arboretum itself. And so this new program / policy the goal of this is to raise and clarify more of the program of what it will bring to the Arboretum itself. And so this program, and if we can go to the next slide. So this program includes many different things to donate, but today I want to focus on donated trees and benches. And so when an individual wants to donate to the Arboretum, they choose to donate a tree or a bench, and when they do, they will be provided with a map, a plaque, and a certificate of the donation itself. And so the purpose of this program is to relieve stress from the county for financial support. It allows individuals to help be a part of the community, be able to expand the Arboretum, because there are still undeveloped acres that need to be expanded. And for the master plan, we're going to be working on that this year for the next 20 years. And so if we can continue on to the next section. Here we have some pictures of what a donated tree looks like. On the top left, you can see the Arboretum staff who just recently planted a donated tree. Below it is the plaque which is associated with the tree, and those plaques you can find in the Rancho Santa Fe Park Visitor Center, because it's more of a protected area. We don't put the plaques next to the tree just because of vandalism purposes, as well as cleanliness of the park. And off to the right of the picture, we can see a bench with the plaque mounted onto the backboard of the bench itself to signify who donated the bench and any significant names behind it. And so if we can continue on to the next slide. In 2022, the program was put on hold because of, as Colleen was saying, a reassessment of the whole program itself. Let's see here. So there are 5 botanical gardens and arboretums that were assessed during this time. And these arboretums were chosen because of their structure, their categorization, and they were based off of the Morton Arboretum International Registry. And this registry is what is classified as what dictates an arboretum as well as the level of program it develops, as well as ARPANET credentials. And so the 5 botanical gardens that we've chosen were Berkeley, California, Fullerton, California, Boise, Idaho, Salt Lake City, Red Butte, Utah, and Denver, Colorado. Believe it or not, these are the closest ones as well to our similar association as well as like image of the garden. I also contacted these arboretums just to make sure how their programs were running, what assessment they were doing, and what they were about to do. And so if we go to the next slide, I got some information about how they did their bench and tree programs. So I kind of want to focus on Salt Lake City, where a bench is $15,000 for 10 years. One person can donate. And as well as you can see throughout the other 5 arboretums and botanical gardens that they also have trees. And if you look closely at the numbers, the trend is about $1,500 per year for a bench and about $1,000 per year for a tree. And so if you average those numbers out, and of the 5 arboretums and botanical gardens that were contacted, 4 of them were in the process of raising or reevaluating the prices due to the recent inflation and economic standards. So if we continue, go back to the other one. I kind of want to focus on another one. So these, keep in mind, these were the same gardens that were kind of at the same level as the May Arboretum. Nice, but not super nice. I kind of want to say that the Santa Barbara Botanical Gardens is a really nice garden in itself, and their benches run about $100,000 for 10 years. So I hope you have a good pocket. So go to the next slide. This is kind of the history of the bench program of the May Arboretum. As you can see, when the garden first started out in the 1980s, from 1985 to 2005, a bench cost $1,000 and a tree was $50. Fast forward to 2005, it was updated again for $2,500 for a bench and $500 for a tree until it was put on hold again. And it's kind of obvious that we need a new update. And if we continue on to the next slide, the overhead cost of just putting in one of these trees is about $500, or just the tree itself is about $500, because we go for the top quality and for the unique species. Because as you know, an arboretum is a collection of diverse plants. And I will definitely go on later about that. I'm so plant nerd geek out about that. But anyways, the cost of a bench is $1,300. We add into the factor of labor costs, and the total bench install is just around $1,900, and a tree is $900. And if you look at the tree itself, the total install is $900. We're losing about $400 every time we plant a tree, unfortunately. So that's why the program was quickly put on hold. Okay, next slide. Continuing on with the yearly and annual maintenance, we can see that with a bench, it's not just one and done. Things do corrode, things do break down. And so we have to consider restaining the bench, vegetative growth growing back onto it, tearing or washing it around, vandalism, any sort of that of a yearly maintenance. And so that costs around $350 a year. A tree, fertilizing, maintaining, risk assessment, making sure the tree's healthy, especially this past storm of the New Year's snow. A lot of trees failed, per se, where there were bad root systems, so we have to keep into account, and we were anticipating certain trees failing at certain times of the year. And so an estimated cost of that is about $300 a year. So the total term, if we propose a 10 years for a bench and 20 years for a donor tree, for a bench, it'll be about $5,400, and a donor tree is just under $7,000 for 20 years. So if we move on to the next slide, we can see a couple of pictures of the Arboretum and Botanical Gardens, and these are gardens within the garden itself. The Songbird Garden is on the left, and you can see that there are 3 benches in a row. These benches were not in the original plan of the garden. They were more of an afterthought to raise money for the Arboretum for their yearly and overhead costs. And so the purpose of a bench is to have an individual come, enjoy, and take in the entire scene. The Songbird, it's very popular as people love to sit down. There's bird feeders, and you can really just intake the ecology of all the birds. I was told by a 12-year-old that there are 38 different species he saw one day. This guy is have you met him? Okay, he is this wonderful 12-year-old guy that is obsessed with birds. And so if you look on the right, the Kristen's garden, that is another garden next to the songbird, and you can see actually 5 benches in that picture if you look really hard. But these benches are very in close proximity to each other and kind of need to be reassessed in the entire garden because aesthetically it does not look the most appealing to one. And so we are sitting at about 11 benches per acre. The other 5 arboretums that were compared to us were sitting at about 4 benches per acre. So we are almost triple than what the other botanical gardens are looking at. And so if we go to the next slide, we're updating our benches as well from wood to more of a higher quality material. As you can see on the left, this is a bench with a back to it. And the one on the right is a bench with a back and armrest. And you can see how these are bolted down and or set in concrete in the garden itself. And so these have proven really well in the past couple of years where they don't really get degraded from the sun. They're very durable when it comes to usage as well as vandalism. So if we continue on to the next slide, the proposed pricing that we would like to see in the May Arboretum is that a donor tree is $15,000 for 20 years, and a donor bench with backs for $15,500, and a donor bench with back and armrest for $16,500. And if we average the tree out, it's going to be about $750 a year for 20 years. And a donor bench is about $1,500 to $1,600 a year for 10 years, which is still up to par, but yet still competitive to the other 5 arboretums that were compared, as previously mentioned. And we like to keep it at about 10 years because we've noticed that after about 10 years, the bench needs to be reassessed as more of a safety issue. If there's any bolts missing, any failing of the concrete in the installation part, but it's more of a reassess the quality of the bench as well as the vegetation around it. So as we move towards the benefits of a bench, of course, benches are very uphold the beautiful landscape as well as increasing the price also helps give the opportunity for the staff to maintain the bench properly. For trees, it provides a larger canopy. I know there's many picnics in the park as well as people who love to come and enjoy a music in the park series. So people will come, play music, and just have a good evening in the fall. The trees also provide a good diversity for the community. Believe it or not, there's 4,000 different types of species of plants in the Arboretum that people can come enjoy and get ideas for their own yard. Let's see here. So, I'm going to hold up on a personal story, but if we continue on, we can go for the previous donors. Of course, with every new update, we have to consider the previous program as well as what happened in those 20 years or 17 years from 2005 to 2022. So previous donors, the benches that were installed in 2013 and earlier will be contacted from the registry that the Arboretum holds, and those donors will be informed and updated on the new policy. Of course, a little background to this information, the new program will be considered 2 options, a donated tree and a donated bench. I want to have a more inclusive word to it instead of just having it very restrictive to a memorial tree or adopt a tree. Because most people come to me either for a death of a family member or just a celebration of they got married in the gardens and they want to have a little token in the garden themselves. I actually won a wife in the May Arboretum. I didn't tell my boss this, but during the hot air balloons, I actually climbed up one of the trees and, decided to be a little edgy and decide to climb, impress a girl, and it worked out. And so anyways, donated trees are very precious to me, and I really want to see more trees in the park itself. We're not only bragging rights of 4,000 species, but also to help other people find girls. And so I love to, we need to make sure that we approach this in a sensitive manner where people who have donated such assets to the county need to be informed, as well as the conditions and terms that are presented newly. Of course, before there wasn't really a term and conditions. It is mainly, this is the price of a tree or a bench, and then here are your certificate and map of the location of it. So now we're adding terms, conditions, maintenance, holding our standards to it, and making sure that we are doing our due diligence in providing the best quality and customer service for the community. So if we continue to the next slide. So the outcome that we would love to see is that, of course, it's pretty obvious that there's a very limited market here of areas that you can donate a tree or a bench to a certain and high quality place. You know, the May Arboretum is a very unique gem to the Reno community, as, you know, we like to pride ourselves in that we have a hardwood forest. Nowhere else in the Nevadan area can you see a location of a collection of maples or a collection of oaks. And so with rising inflation and competitive rates, it's very obvious that we need to update these donation funds and fees to keep up with the market. And so if we go to the next slide, should a motion be considered from the commission, it would be to move and approve the Arboretum donation policy to be effective April 1st, 2023. And so I would really love to hear any comments, concerns, and questions that you have at this time.
Well, thank you very much for that entertaining presentation. I have several questions, but I'll ask, are there any questions or comments from other commissioners?
Kevin, I have a question. It's just online here. This is Miles Gertler.
Yes, go ahead.
I think this makes sense. The purpose of a donation program is to help support the facilities there and the operation. I'm just curious. I think probably people from the public really appreciate the opportunity to memorialize their loved ones or whoever really appreciated the Arboretum. Do you have any other way where people could memorialize them, in some way that might be cheaper for you to maintain? Like maybe inside a building, have a plaque that you can carve names onto for a much, much lower price. So people could still give a donation and memorialize their loved ones, but not have to spend, many, many thousands of dollars.
Yes, so the Arboretum and Botanical Garden has multiple ways, and one of the other ways is through a memorial brick, which is found off of the first parking lot. If you go in off of Sierra Street, it is a labyrinth garden, and one can purchase a brick for $250, and if they are a member of the May Arboretum Society, it would be for $150. And so that is a more reasonable price, and currently there's no end limit on these bricks, as we consider them more of an infrastructure of the park.
Okay, thank you.
And if I can just confirm, so this just covers the Arboretum area. So if somebody comes to Rancho and says they'd like to do a memorial bench or plant a memorial tree, that's not part of this policy.
Correct.
Is that also changing in the future?
For the record, Colleen Wallace Barnum. We don't typically do a whole lot of tree or bench donations in other parks. When we have folks come to us, we usually actually refer them to the Arboretum. What we often do and what we struggle with, and I think it probably speaks to what some of the public comment earlier, is that we do see a lot of vandalism in our parks, and we don't want to see memorial areas get vandalized. And so if a community member comes to us and says, hey, we want to plant a tree, and it's a species that we're comfortable with our park maintenance workers, this is outside of the Arboretum altogether, we can encourage that to happen. However, it has to happen within the confines of, there's not going to be a plaque or any type of recognition. It's just knowing that tree exists in your family member's honor or that kind of thing. So that's typically more of what happens in a park setting versus the Arboretum setting, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, because I see parks that have like an overabundance of benches and styles of benches in various states of maintenance, and while I totally realize that it's something that, you know, can help people deal with a loss, it ends up kind of dumping that maintenance onto the taxpayer.
And this is a great,
And that, it seems like it's going that way, and that kind of leads to my next question about, you said that you guys already have a higher number of benches, and then correct me if I'm wrong, but like a higher number of benches per acre than comparable arboretums?
Yeah, so we have about 11 per acre. Most arboretums on the western part of the United States is 4 an acre. The May Arboretum itself has over 140 benches currently in its 11 acres of development.
And all of those are memorial benches?
Yes.
So I guess kind of my question is, at what point is it enough benches?
It was about 50 benches ago.
And then kind of my last question is, what about somebody, a person that is desired to be memorialized but does not have an estate, does not have, you know, friends that can write a check for $15,000? Is there a way around that, such as they petition the Parks Commission or something, and then we can approve that, yes, this should be, I mean, we name parks and schools and, you know, after people for sometimes actions or donations. And so I'm just kind of curious, is there a way that if somebody doesn't have that kind of money, that they can still be memorialized in a way that they want?
You want to?
Yeah. For the record, Colleen Wallace Barnum, I don't know that we have a policy on naming. So there is actually a policy on, you know, how we would name a park or a facility within a park or those kind of things. So we would have to look at that policy. As far as the waiving of fees, I think that's something that we would have to take on a case by case basis.
Okay.
Anything else?
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question on the quantity of benches. It sounds like, is the idea to start removing some of the old ones that have been there for a long period of time? I hear that we have too many. I'm not clear on where more benches fits into this.
So the goal, and this will be like over a 10, 20-year goal, is that we are prioritizing benches as far as age as well as condition goes. I had an individual come and talk to me last week about a bench that they have from the 90s, and they can come and are very concerned about and very passionate. But we've also have many benches that are somewhat long forgotten, almost buried in the vegetation itself, and half the panels are missing. And so, you know, removal of these benches not only pose a greater safety for the community, but also a more aesthetically appealing place for one individual. And so mainly it's on a bench by bench basis, essentially. But right now, coming to mind, there's about 12 that we can get rid of without any hesitation or double thought to it.
And those 12 have plaques on them, like from a family?
They do not.
Oh, they do, those are not memorial benches?
No, they are not. Some benches were donated in the origin of the garden itself. I would say 80% of the benches are memorial benches. 20% of them are roughly benches that were provided or donated through a local company. For example, one of the benches is Sierra Pacific Power Company, which is no longer in business for a good 20 years, I believe.
Okay, so when you guys reach out to the families that have previously donated a bench for $500, is that correct?
$2,500.
Oh, $2,500 was the previous donation. So if they donate $15,000, then they get a new bench and a new plaque out of that as well?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so this is an effort to maintain the current inventory and standardize it, and maintain these into the future.
Yes.
And if a family says, no, we don't have that kind of money, then what happens?
Then we will go on a case-by-case basis, and we will work with it. There are a couple individuals who are very passionate about the gardens and will might step in to help financially with this individual. For example, the May Arboretum Society has donated a couple benches in recent years in behalf of people who have requested benches or have a memorial for an individual in the garden itself.
Okay. I mean, just my suggestion would be that if they don't continue it, that perhaps at least we create an area, you know, where maybe all those plaques can go, just so that there's still a way of memorializing the past donation, you know, and you know, yeah, just keep the plaques maybe all in one area of the memorial wall or something like that to let the families know that you're not just like throwing out the plaque and the donation if they don't pay up.
And that is definitely feasible. We can definitely do that.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Thank you.
This is Lisa Rhodey. I have a couple of questions. It sounds like we have around 13 acres. Is that correct?
Correct.
And how many trees total are available to be planted?
So if I understand this, how many spaces are available for a tree to be planted?
Correct.
We have roughly about 40 places for trees to be planted.
So there's a lot more opportunity for trees.
Correct, yeah, at this time. And we are under development for a cactus and succulent garden, which will include a couple more trees, and that covers 2 more acres.
So people can't sponsor cactuses as well?
That has not been determined
Depends on
yet.
how much their family liked them.
Yeah, really.
We're sticking to trees mostly. When it comes to more of a shrubbery or a perennial plant, the lifespan is a lot less. We're trying to stick to trees with a lifespan of more than 40 years, 40 to 3,000 years.
Okay. Okay, I guess that answers my question. Thank you.
How many trees do you replace on an annual basis, memorial stuff aside? Like, what's your annual turnover rate?
About 4 to 5.
Okay, okay.
And so that was, we lost 5 last year due to a beetle infestation, and we've immediately integrated more practices in pesticides to help reduce the number of casualties of trees.
Okay, and how many memorial tree requests do you get a year?
Right now, I have 2. For benches, I have 17.
Ooh.
So the demand is quite there.
So theoretically, the memorial trees may just about take care of the annual attrition and replacements of trees.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
And so one thing I wanted to mention was before, and we're keeping with it, is that if a memorial or if a donated tree is purchased, the donor has one opportunity to have a free replacement if such tree dies. So it's not just a one and done, you know, it's like you get a second chance.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Any last questions or comments? Do we have a motion on this item?
So the motion,
I'll make a motion to approve the proposal as given. I don't know if I have to read it all out.
Yes, I don't know if you have the paperwork in front of you, Commissioner Gertler, but there is a text of a possible motion on that agenda item.
And this is Deputy District Attorney Lindsay Liddell. If Commissioner Gertler wanted to just indicate that his motion is as stated in the staff report, that would suffice as well.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll move to approve the motion as stated in the staff report.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
This is Lisa Rhodey. I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Luke. Okay, parks reports. Colleen?
For the record, Colleen Wallace Barnum. Just wanted to, if anybody has any questions, just a couple programs coming from the cold. I think it wrapped up last week. We had a program that got rescheduled on the 18th, and that was Richard Loyan. He had to cancel due to weather, which we have a few of those this season. But that's been a popular series and has been going on for over 25 years. We had the Gardening in Nevada program series. It'll finish up next Tuesday. It's every Tuesday from February and March. Those are over at Bartley Ranch Park with a pretty strong attendance, about 80, 90 people that are excited about getting into gardening when the snow stops. And then wanted to say that we have really good, solid numbers. It was in the report for the May museum. We've had over 78,000 people in attendance, or 78,000 in revenue, but almost 7,000 people in attendance as well. So we've had a strong showing for the Expedition Dinosaurs, and I'd be happy to provide anybody else. I think I gave some passes for that exhibit, and I have some more. So if anybody wants more, please let me know, and I'll be happy to pass those along. But does anybody have any other questions otherwise?
No, thank you for the concise and short report. Director's report.
Thank you. For the record, Eric Crump with Washoe County's Community Services Department, and Assistant County Manager Dave Solero is on a much-deserved vacation, so he is not here today. It was pretty quiet. Don't have much to report from Board of County Commissioners. They did approve about $1,600 in donations during their February 21st meeting. But I also wanted to mention, I failed to mention during the golf report, that the golf program itself lives in a special revenue fund, and so golf pays for golf, and there hasn't been any tax dollars kind of subsidizing the golf fund, and that's been since we've transitioned all of our courses over to full operation and maintenance. So I think that's important. We're providing something that's really good to the public, but it's paid for by the golfing community. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
So just to clarify on what you said about the golf, so like the improvements that he put in his presentation of, spending what, $90,000 on a irrigation pump or something. So that comes out of the golf fund?
That actually comes from his budget.
From his
income. From Maz's golf budget. He's required to reinvest back in the course. Both Washoe Golf and
But he pays some kind of franchise fee or something to the county for
they both pay fees. They're slightly different. I don't remember them off the top of my head. And that basically pays for our administrative, our oversight. We do have some expenses associated with the golf courses in various areas, but they pay utilities and water and improvements, basically maintenance. The only thing we're responsible for is some of the buildings we're responsible for any kind of exterior kind of load-bearing walls, and then the utilities from street to building, and that is it. They're responsible for everything else.
So this golf fund is what they pay into their fees.
That is correct.
And then that pays that administrative. And
That's
some
exactly it. Yes.
facility costs. Okay, I understand
Correct.
now. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll add in, because I have a comment kind of related to both of your reports. I just want to say thank you to all of the park staff that has been working extra this winter and dealing with snow removal operations on top of their regular duties to keep the parks accessible to the public. And if Dave was here, but I'll extend it to Commissioner Garcia to also include the county CSD roads staff for their work. I hope that maybe the RGJ can consider the snowplow driver the 2023 Citizen of the Year. Item 13, Requests for future agenda items. Do any commissioners have requests for future agenda items?
Yeah, this is Commissioner Day. Back in our November meeting, it was the county commissioner, our liaison at the time, Commissioner Hill, had requested reporting on funding, spending, you know, a cost report. Where does the money come from? Where does the money go? Type of thing. And we haven't seen that. And this discussion that Mr. Crump just talked about, a little bit about where the funds go, where they you know, come from. I think it would help us on this commission quite a bit if we had a better understanding of the costs we're dealing with. You know, you've got a good staff out there. They do great work. You've got equipment for that group. You've got any number of expenses out there. We don't really, I don't have an understanding of what those costs are. And we don't need a tremendous amount of granularity, but an overview of what they are, and then how those are funded would be very helpful. Maybe done on I don't think we'd need to see it quarterly, but something to get us started and better understand that. And then maybe annually or semi-annually have a look at that. Is that?
That sounds good. So does that, that would be like a agenda item for a staff report on that?
That's what it sounds like, yes.
Okay. And somebody wrote that down, or am I supposed to?
I believe
got it.
I see
Okay.
Eric Crump and Colleen. There you go.
Thank you.
And then to follow up on the public comment we had at the beginning of the meeting, Colleen, can I follow up with you on what the situation for the Windy Hill Park was, or with Jeff to find out what the issue was with getting a memorial up as it was requested? It doesn't necessarily have to be at the meeting, but like, can I just follow up with you afterwards about that, or? Okay. And then I have a question about where are we at with the joint Parks Commission meeting with the city and Sparks? So I saw April 10th looked like it had been canceled. And do we need to do anything at this meeting to reschedule that?
For the record, Eric Crump again. I'll go back to the director's report, so we're under an agenda item. She's getting antsy here. I should have brought that up. So we've been working with the City of Reno and City of Sparks to get that rescheduled. Right now, we're tentatively looking at April 25th. We're making sure staff is available before we push it out to everybody else. But So right now, we should know that here very soon. I would maybe pencil it in our calendar, April 25th, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And if we can get a quorum in all three places, we'll go with that. It's kind of hard, as you can imagine,
Yes.
lots of moving pieces.
All right, thank you.
This is Lisa Rhodey. I have one question. I don't know if it should be on the agenda or not, but when he was talking about the Sierra Sage Golf Course being the only golf course that has to pay for the water, I was wondering, is it possible to get someone to come and explain to us why that is? Why do the private courses get free water and the county course has to pay?
That certainly piqued my curiosity as well, and I was planning to follow up with a couple emails just to see if I could find out. I don't know I don't even know who we would request on that.
Me either, but I'm troubled by it.
Eric is indicating that he will look into it.
I'd like somebody to be accountable to explain this.
Yeah, it did seem odd. Thank you, Commissioner Rode. Any other suggestions for agenda items? Hearing none, we'll go to item 14, public comments. Do we have any public comments?
I have Mark Newman in chambers. Please state your name for the record.
Good afternoon, Commissioners and staff. No, your last one, which is pretty much what my public comment was for the Sierra Sage Water Project, because it sounds like something screwed up, something screwy going on. So, but that was my make. The other one is, why cancel the longest event in Reno thing is the air races? I know people, the only reason they buy out there is so they can watch the air races. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you. And unfortunately, yeah, we don't get to vote on that. So, and actually, I'm sorry. I had a good of the order item, but I just realized that we don't have a good of the order agenda item. Can I open up item 13, the announcements under the agenda topics? It doesn't need to be an agenda topic. It's more of just an announcement.
You can, or you could also just provide public comment yourself.
Oh, okay.
Whatever works.
Well, since we'll stay under item 14, public comments. I will try to keep this under 3 minutes. But I would just want to make sure all the commissioners are aware. The International Trails Symposium is coming to Reno in April, April 17th through 20th, I believe. And it is already at record attendance since it has been a couple of years since that occurred. And it is also showcasing one of the Washoe County facilities at Hidden Valley Park with the field day on April 20th. It's the first time they've gone out of the conference center, so to speak, and tried to do a day in the field. So we're crossing fingers that all works well, and we've got, I think there's 700 and some people registered so far from all over the country and a few from internationally that will be coming to visit Hidden Valley Park in Reno. So I would encourage any other commissioners to attend if you can, and that goes for county staff as well, and just encourage the county to support it in any ways possible. It's www.its2023.org, I believe. I should have written that down. But if you Google the International Trails Symposium Reno, you'll get there. Thank you.
I have no further public comment in chambers or on Zoom.
Thank you, Brandon. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Chair, as chair, you can just adjourn the meeting.
That's why they gave me this gavel. All right, we are adjourned.